There are reasons that each of us are born. Our quest to discover those reasons. There are two greatest days in our lives. The first, the day we are born. The second, the day we discover why. Sometimes a man, mature, attentive, never ending, reaches his destiny on the road he chooses not to walk upon. How far will a belief system go for complete dominion? Sawati Kau. And thank you for taking the time to view my show, Shut Up and Dance, second season. Tonight's topic, Reach for the Stars. I am blessed and honored to have as my guest, and my first guest on this segment, Mr. Jason Fisher. Jason is in my opinion, the Nebraska filmmaker and co-holder of one of the greatest secrets in the history of literature. So ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce Mr. Jason Fisher.
Thank you for having me, Frank. It's been quite a moment to finally catch up with each other on this show.
Yes, sir. We've been trying to work out schedules and whatnot, and so we're finally here. First of all, Jason, could you give me and my audience a short, brief bio of you?
Absolutely. So it's been a little bit of journey, but from D.C., from Washington, D.C., and then I moved here at a young age, and I've lived all around the area here in Omaha, so I've got to see a lot of Omaha growing up, and then, you know, of course, was fortunate enough to go to college out in Lincoln for engineering.
Oh, okay.
And then that took me to Houston, and
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, long story short, I realized very quickly, and I probably knew this already, that I wasn't really meant to be an engineer.
Oh, okay.
So then after that, you know, I moved back up here, take care of my mom, and, you know, I realized living in Houston for a while, what a great city that Omaha is. And so I decided to stick around.
Okay.
Yeah. And even though I've lived a few other places, I've lived in, you know, of course, Houston, LA, and, you know, I realized that this is home base. I travel a lot, but this is home base.
This is home? This is home?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what excited you to journey in this craft?
You know, I always like to refer to it as the happy accident, you know.
Happy accident. How did we get that title?
The happy accident is where, you know, of course I went on one journey to go for engineering, but being fluid and life pushing me other directions. And I think we've even talked about this before. It's like, did you choose this direction? And I'll tell you what, if you would have asked me at any point in my life if I would have been a director, I would have said no. I was not the child or ever a person to say, you know what, I love this director. I love Steven Spielberg. I love, you know, and of course I like a lot of films. I love Spike Lee and these folks, and great to watch, but I'd never seen myself as that. I've always been a creative, always been an artist. So it's been just more of the way life has blown me, you know, a little bit. Opportunities with, you know, kind of the available skills and such, or talents. Some sound talented. Then it's just kind of taken me that way. So that's been it. I really didn't choose it; it chose me. Yeah.
So because in my shows I have this question: do you make the choice, or does the choice make you?
Yeah, there is no choice to be made. The choice makes you, I believe.
Do you have on your journey any role models and/or heroes?
Besides you? And I really
No,
mean,
no.
I really mean that, Frank. Besides yourself, I mean, there are a few people that have loved enough and have opened themselves up enough with their lives and their art. And, you know, I can find inspiration in just about anything. I'd say the largest ones, though, of course, you know, I got to say my mother.
Okay,
You know, and she, even though she did pass away, but you know, I really mean that because those people who are in our lives as parents or as parent figures or, you know, mentors or whatever the case may be that kind of we see here and there, you know, she really taught me a lot of compassion, a lot of the ability to rebound, those sort of things. And, you know, that stuck with me. The hard work ethic, you know, was there to take care of me as a single parent.
Right.
I would say she's my biggest. You know, as far as artist-wise, I really have a great admiration for those who, just in general, again, who show the compassion, the heart, who really have a unique point of view. You know, and I would say those folks that, you know, we're all inspired by someone in some way, shape, or form. But you know, I feel like the people who have that, I would just say that have the heart enough to actually show their own point of view, you know.
Well, that takes a lot of courage when you
It really does,
when you lay yourself out. I mean, I can remember when I first got on stage and read my first piece, and it was in the city of Fountains, which is Kansas City, Missouri, and I tripped up the stage because there were 2 steps.
Okay.
And I tripped up and caught myself in midair. Not that I fell down, but you know, I was mumbling, stumbling, and fumbling. And then I got up, and then the audience was kind of, you know, shocked and overwhelmed and whatnot. And then I gave my first piece, but I'll never forget that experience. I tell you, the nerves were fumbling and mumbling.
Okay.
And so to speak. So your mother was a great influence.
Absolutely, absolutely. Creative spirit. My grandparents as well. You know, they never told me, and I didn't realize this. You know, you get in your own little bubble as a family, and especially the way I was growing up with as being an only child, and a little bit distant as far as mileage-wise. You get in your own bubble. I got in my bubble a lot because
Okay.
she would never tell me no, I couldn't do anything. As long as I wasn't hurting nobody,
Yeah.
there were a lot of experiences, you know, being creative and such. I can think back my parents or my grandparents and my mother and such allowed me to really explore. And I just thought everybody did that. And, you know, so I'd get around and I'd be around people as adults and they would say, you know, my parents or my brother or my sister, my family, people closest to them would say, why don't you just get a job? And that just blew me away, you know, and I was just like, wow, people say that? And so, you know, again, you know, just being a little naive, or just not knowing that people actually told their children that, because my mom would let me get away with a lot of things in the creative sense. I remember I'd paint cars in an attached garage to the house, so fumes would be going in. You know, my earliest memory, though, would be, you know, I'd go to visit my grandparents, and they lived in South Dakota, and so they had a wood shop.
Oh, wow.
And so my grandmother and my grandfather were, you know, crafty, creative people in a way, and they owned arts and crafts store out there and made flower arrangements and all that good stuff. But again, you know, looking back, being maybe I think I was maybe in 1st or 2nd grade.
Okay.
My grandfather would show me how to use a bandsaw.
Oh, cool.
And then leave me alone in there.
Oh, all right.
To make whatever I wanted.
Whatever you wanted to create, yeah.
I'm like, you know, I could have lost arms and hands and everything. I mean, there were table saws, band saws, but I think that was the different confidence factor. You know,
He felt confident enough,
right.
loved you, that he didn't have to really stand over you and whatnot.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, a lot of children will surprise us and such. You teach them a little bit and it goes a long way, but I do have all my fingers, so I'm happy about that. But I didn't know any better. You know, you don't know any better. You don't know, as a child, you don't know the word no or I can't Or, you know, of course, how many times do you tell a child no? Right? How many times do you tell them that? They don't stop. They're unflinching, and
Oh, well,
yeah.
the beauty
Yeah.
of what you were saying, because I had a similar
Okay.
childhood. Mom and dad, and what I call it is the conscious, unconscious way of instilling in you that quest for the zest of knowledge and allowing you to experience.
Absolutely.
I mean, my next door neighbor, David St. Clair, one of my bestest friends. I mean, we ate dirt together, so that's how far back we go. And the beauty of it is, between his mother and my mother, as long as we asked permission, there was nothing that we could not do. And with the other children in the neighborhood, we would all gather together, especially on Saturdays.
Okay.
Saturday morning, we would sit up and watch cartoons, and then we would, after cartoons were over, then we're out. We're either in the garage building soapbox derby cars or whatnot, but it was just having that space and always knowing that somebody is watching over you, which these days, that's not the case. If somebody wants to prey on you, and we now physically have to be physically there. And to me, the child really doesn't have the opportunity to explore. And it's the way I look at things now.
Absolutely. It's a whole different family dynamic. It's a whole different world in a way. So sometimes less is more, right? You know, I look at that.
Sometimes it is, but
Yeah.
I just go back to the core, and the core is family. And to me, without family, without the watch scars, without the one who tells you about the family history, without the one who kind of just lets you explore and whatnot, you really miss out on a lot of different things and a lot of different experiences, because as one old friend of mine said, you're a child. As long as you don't really act up or whatnot, go out there and explore. Go out there and explore. He said, all you have to do is do the right thing, go to school, and we'll take care of everything else. And you don't really realize that until you get to the end, like when you get to high school, and then if you go on to college or whatever. And then as you grow older and mature, you then feel that spirit and that energy. And it's like a oops upside your head moment, because you didn't really know about it until now you're in the moment, and it's like, wow, thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
If there was a dream of yours that you would like to share with my audience, because I look upon you, Jason, we've known each other almost 9 years now. And I always, what really attracted it to me to you is, as I would say something, you could paint the picture behind it. So if there was a dream that you would like to share with us with regard to your craft and your mastery, what would it be?
That's a pretty broad question, but
It allows you to, with your creativeness, to then take that brush and give us a Michelangelo, Mr. Fisher.
yeah, the dream, right? The dream, you know. Honestly, I feel like when I think about that, I mean, I dream pretty big. And I didn't realize, again, that's one of those hindsight situations where you look back and you realize how big or what your dreams mean or what they look like. And so for me, the dream is, I would say, having the ability to just connect a lot of people.
Okay.
And that's what we do with a lot of the work that I do.
Okay.
That we work on and create are basically people being able to tell their story, have their voice, communicate to different groups of audiences and people, and be heard. You know, that's that's huge to me because I feel like a lot of times we can be right next to each other. If we stop, look, and listen, if we pay attention to the details and look for the signs, there's a lot there. And so I just want to be able to, create those pieces that we're doing at a greater level that help give a voice to people that are often unheard, not heard, not listened to, and or maybe just overlooked. And that's really my biggest goal, because I feel like that communication part and that compassion to be able to truly hear, not just listen, but to hear, that's really big to me.
Would you then say that as children, we were for the experience, and now we're into what I would think is more video and inanimacy, and by that I mean we're into social media, okay? And so to me, that is the most impersonal and indirect way, but also the most direct way to reach a broad scale.
I think yes and no. I feel like there was kind of one stream of consciousness, or a few streams, when we only had like maybe 3 or 4 television stations, and that was the dialogue, that was the narrative, that was constantly told. So the interesting thing about social media or online media is that anyone can tell their story, or just give their point of view, or share their interest, or hobbies, or activities. And that is very liberating, but at the same time, it's also kind of detached or splintered, And so I say yes to that, but I also feel like at the same time what I see now, because there is so much online, is it's driven towards events. And so a lot of the youth, what they'll do is they'll, collaborate online, connect online, and share those bits and pieces of their day or information, and then at the same time, though, they'll have an event, and then they'll meet up in real life, or IRL, as some of the kids say, and so that's, they really clamor for that. I think they build a lot of social media, and then they go connect at a music event, or at a social event, or a kind of a young professional event, an art event, and those are different ways. Even on micro events, I realize that there's kind of hubs of artists that work together that don't have, like, let's say, a creative job, but they're operating almost in a kind of organized creative collective. Right? So it's collectives of poets, as you know, it's collectives of some people that are making short films, and there's no job behind this, but they'll have someone that's doing the audio, they'll have someone that's doing the directing and story writing and all that good stuff, even some people that are doing makeup. But these are our youth, and they operate in that way, building websites and all that good stuff. So it's a little bit different on how they explore now. Their tools are different. Their rocks and their dirt that they might play with are a little bit different. But I feel like at the end, it's there. It's just not as seen. It's not as seen maybe to the neighborhoods and communities and such. It's behind closed doors, or it's online. So yeah.
So you believe still, as I firmly believe, within the history of man throughout his development, one of the key things is the ability to tell a story.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a story just gives us the tools to be able to connect with everything you can think about in life. I mean, without a story, I mean, what is it?
It just doesn't. It just doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. So I feel like unless we become robots or artificial intelligence, that it's always going to be the story, because those stories, tell it all. It shares so much information, experience, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads. It makes people relatable. It makes people reflective.
Okay.
Reflecting on what it is that they are maybe missing in a situation.
Okay.
I like to do that a lot. And sometimes it seems very easy, but if it's told the right way, the next thing you know, that light bulb pops on, and there's probably more to that. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my last question. If you wanted to deliver a message to someone who is interested in getting into your craft or what have you, what would you share with them as a way to get started or try to begin to open up that door?
Yeah. Okay. I would say run.
See how you are, Jason?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it's,
Because, I mean, today we have so many various different platforms that you could get started with.
You can, but I mean, again, I feel like it's going to choose you. I mean, you're gonna, if you feel it pulling you that way, go that direction. Go explore, find one thing that compels you, or find a group of people that maybe someone else has the story. It doesn't always have to be our own story. Maybe it's just the process.
Okay.
I've worked with some folks, some youth, and even adults to where they want to be the film director, they want to be the head person in charge, and then we start realizing we need. If you look at movie credits, you'll see that there's 1,000 people.
A ton of people.
Right, to make up that, and then you start thinking about when you go through the process with a group of people, it starts to kind of whittle itself down, but you almost have to let go.
Okay.
Meaning,
almost like an out of body in a sense.
that, or don't be so rigid on it. Try not to be so rigid. So you may go in and there's projects that I'm not the director, I'm not the producer, I'm not the person in charge, and if I'm involved with that production. And I believe in it, I can get behind it.
Right.
And that's the real power behind great leadership, and leadership is at all levels. There's not just one leader. I don't care if you're a janitor or whatever else. You can take pride in what you do, and I feel like that can be a person that when everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. You might be walking by, you see a janitor. And this is just the way my brain works, is I can see them taking pride in what they do just by kind of personal osmosis. And the next thing you know, then it makes me want to make sure I'm on my
point.
Right. But on the creative field, explore it and see where things go, and try to be fluid with anything. And if it happens as that, then that's that. But just do as much as you can wherever it pulls you.
Okay.
And if it's meant to be, it will come together. But just get out there, and as you said, as we did as youth, go out there and explore.
Yes. Yes.
There are no wrong answers, and it's so true. So true. There are no wrong answers when you're going out and exploring. Yeah.
Well, listen, Jason, I want to thank you. And I'm glad our schedules finally made it so that our paths could cross and we could do this.
I'm very pleased as well, Frank.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Fisher, Sawati Kap. How have we come to believe? Nebraska, we are more than agriculture. Nebraska, we are more than beef. Nebraska, we are more than football. Nebraska, the good life. Come, read us. And I want to thank each and every one of you for viewing my program, and most importantly and especially, my sponsors, who are my life's blood. Hot Shops Art Center, 75 North. Omaha, we don't coast. periodical of the Chamber of Commerce of the City of Omaha, the Greater Chamber of Commerce for the City of Omaha, Dr. James V. Ortman, Internal Medicine and Geriatrics,